Shalom, Shavua Tov, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land and hosted by myself, Rolene Marks. Now, I know you're all wondering, why on earth does she have sunglasses on today? Well, the answer is simple, really. I have eye infections in both eyes, and my eyes are all puffed up, and I don't want to scare you or small children and animals by the way I look. Also, on top of that, I have the hiccups. So we're going to try and get through this broadcast, even though it's a comedy of errors, with as little injury to self or to others as humanly possible. But you're not here for my ailments. You are here to find out what the top stories in Israel are, and we bring them to you every Monday to Thursday. So let's get on with our top stories. And we begin with the situation in Israel regarding Omicron. Now, as of midnight on Saturday night, which would make it first thing on Sunday, our skies opened up, our borders opened up to all foreign travelers. Now, in order to equip you, if you're looking to visit Israel sometime soon, with the relevant and most up-to-date information, our Ministry of Health have opened up a new website, all in English, very easy to use. And if you go to http://safe.travel.israel, that's safe.travel.israel, all the information you need is right there. What vaccines are accepted, what the criteria are, what forms you may need to fill in before you enter Israel, before you leave Israel, what or if or any testing that needs to be done. It also contains useful links like emergency services numbers, links to the Ministry of Health, links to our IDF Homefront Command. So we are making sure that in order to give you the best possible welcome, we're giving you as comprehensive information as we possibly can. In other news, Omicron cases are really rising, as are flu cases, so just something to be aware of. However, up to date, at least 250,000 people have received their fourth shot. Now, the fourth shot at the moment is only open to those over the age of 60, healthcare workers, and those who are immunocompromised. And there are concerns right now about rising Omicron and flu cases, because we have to take into our consideration that we don't overwhelm our medical systems. And of course, we don't want any loss of life. But in other stories, we've been speaking a lot about the BBC lately, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is publicly funded. We've been covering a lot around the Hanukkah attack, or as some people are now calling it, the Oxford Street libel. There has been a lot of controversy about how the BBC covered the attack by Muslim youth on a bus filled with Jewish youth who were on their way to light candles on the first night of Hanukkah. Now, this rift, this ongoing crisis between the greater British Jewish community and the BBC is getting even worse, to the point now where Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries has dramatically stepped in. She has appealed to the BBC Director General Tim Davie to quote-unquote get a grip on the situation, to sort it out and resolve the issues as soon as possible. She says it is not only distressing for those involved, but also for the wider Jewish community. Now, this follows a request from the BBC at the end of broadcast on Thursday for the identities of all those aboard the bus. Now, bearing in mind the majority of them are teenagers and could be minors, but also this has been charged as a hate crime. And according to Lord Carlisle, a legal expert who has said that this is absolutely untenable, that it is only re-victimizing the victims, and that also victims of hate crimes hide behind anonymity, so to protect themselves even further. And this request by the BBC has really left a sour taste in people's mouths, and it must be really stretched to the point of tolerance where the culture secretary now has to step in. This follows news last week that a 30-year-old, a rabbi who had broadcast with the BBC for 30 years, quit his position there as a result of anti-Semitism within the broadcaster. And the broadcaster also had to scrap a debate that they were going to hold on their Channel 4 radio, deciding whether or not anti-Zionism should be a protected category. As of yet, that debate has been cancelled. But in more positive news, we have been talking a lot about the Abraham Accords, our widening circle of peace, and how extraordinary the relationship between Israel and our Abrahamic brothers and sisters has grown. Well, the welcome news coming in from Washington today is that a group of 8 House and Senate lawmakers will be launching this week a caucus aimed at encouraging, promoting, and discussing the Abraham Accords and what they can do to push normalization between Israel and Arab countries. This is something we really, really welcome, and we thank the United States for their role being a part in brokering the Abraham Accords. But also the fact that this is bipartisan goes back and lends itself to further iteration of the strength of ties between Israel and the United States, and that Israel very much for both the Democrats and the Republicans enjoys very, very strong levels of support. And our final story for the day leads us to bow our heads as a nation as Israel mourns and remembers our former First Lady, Aura Herzog. Aura Herzog passed away in the early hours of this morning at the age of 97. Now, if her name is familiar to many of you, it is because she was the wife of Chaim Herzog, our 6th president, and also was the mother of our current president, Isaac Herzog, and mother to Michael Herzog, who is our ambassador to the United States. Aura Herzog was a very prominent social and environmental activist, and she played a pivotal, fundamental role in establishing the global Bible contest as well as the Society for a Beautiful Israel. She will be interred at our National Cemetery on Har Herzl, and our thoughts and our prayers are with the Herzog family, and we say, may her memory always be blessed. And at this point, I'd also like to pay tribute to 2 stars that we lost this weekend. The venerable, elegant, and classy Sidney Poitier, who passed away at the age of 94. Now, many people might be familiar with the extraordinary story of how Sidney Poitier came to grow into his acting career, and he very vocally thanks a Jewish waiter who was working with him at a restaurant while he served as a busboy, and he credits him with helping him to learn how to read, and how this waiter would sit with him night after night, helping to grow his skills until his career started to really take off. And he expressed his regret at never being able to find this waiter, see what became of him, and offer him his profound gratitude. And we also pay tribute to Bob Saget, the Jewish comedian who passed away at the age of 65. He was found unresponsive in his hotel room while on a comedy tour. Now, many of us are familiar with Saget. We grew up with the sitcom Full House. He was the father, Danny Tanner, and went on to have quite a prolific film, TV, and comedy career. But it was also his Jewish identity and his steadfast support for the state of Israel that we also just want to take a moment to pay tribute to. He performed at a fundraiser for the organization Stand With Us, who spoke movingly today about his immense dedication. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of both these extraordinary men, and may their memories and their legacies forever be blessed. Now, don't forget, it is a new year and we're back with a bang. You can read some of our original content that we've got posted up on our website, brand new content. We have an article from the world's most eminent Nazi hunter, Dr. Ephraim Zorov, who's saying his wish for Nazis is that they live long and can be prosecuted. Read more on our website. We also have an article by Dave Kaplan on Desmond Tutu and his rather complex legacy. That's up on our website. It's also up on our Facebook page. If you haven't already joined our Facebook community, please give us a like and a follow, share our content. Don't forget, our YouTube channel is at The Israel Brief. Please do us a favor by clicking on the red subscribe button. It really helps us get as much exposure as possible. We're on YouTube at Lay of the Land 5, so follow us there and interact with us. And with today's edition of The Israel Brief, albeit managed to get through it without hiccuping once and with my really, really sore eyes, I'm Rolene Marks, and we'll check in tomorrow for those top stories.